The Shirtwaister Dress Sew-Along, Part 4. I have the skirt right side facing up. I will be matching the fronts. So that's side seams and centres. And I will continue across the back, matching the notches. Turn over and do the pinning from the skirt side. Keep the gathering threads out of the way. Pin, matching the notches. Then pull up the gathering threads. Secure the gathering threads by winding around a pin. Check the distribution of gathers. Carry on pinning across the front. Then baste. Remove the pins. There will be some lumps and bumps, so take your time. Make sure you remove the pin that's holding the gathering threads. I'll now remove all the basting, trim and neaten the seam allowance. and press the seam allowance up, and then top stitch. Nice and neat on the inside. Pull the two sections apart as you stitch. The lumps are a challenge, and that's where the stitch compensation tool comes in handy. Check out my sewing supplies page. There are quite a few layers here to cope with. Good so far. The second run should be easier. Do your best to keep the stitches parallel. But I assure you it won't show if you're a little bit off track. The trick is to keep the foot level. You won't break a needle, however thick your layers are. I'm very happy with that. Next, we will insert the zip into the side seam. I have marked on the pattern where the zip should end, just above this notch. Firstly, I'll trim and neaten the seam allowance down to the notch on both the front and back. When the zip is sewn in, I'll trim and neaten the seam allowances together from the notch down to the hem. See my how to sew in a concealed zip tutorial to help you. I will be lining up the top of the tape with the seam line. This will give me 1 inch, 2.5 centimetres or so, where I will close the seam above the zip pull. So I'll end the opening about here and trim off any surplus. So following my method, using a regular zipper foot. With the needle to the right, sew the line of stitches that secures the tape. Keep the tape lined up with the trimmed seam allowance edge. I have marked with chalk where the stitching should end. I have moved the needle across to the left. For this run you can use the other type of zipper foot if you prefer. The one especially designed for the concealed zip that has the 2 grooves underneath. With this foot, I force the foot against the zip teeth as I stitch, which uncurls the zip. Again, stop at the chalk mark. With the zip done up, mark the waistline. Make sure you have the zip tape the right way up for the second side. The needle is still to the left. This run will secure the tape in position as before. Again, stop at the chalk mark. Then needle to the right as before, stitching up against the teeth. Zipped up, I will be able to sew up the short length of seam above the zip pull under the arm. The opening will be invisible once it is pressed, and the waist is perfectly lined up. I am using the zipper foot to sew this short length of seam above the zip. The top of the zip is bumpy. A standard foot would be tricky. The same with sewing below the zip. Once I'm clear of the bumps, I change to the regular foot and complete the seam to the hem. The machining is nicely aligned. The zip opening ends here. I have neatened the seam allowance from below the zip to the hem and pressed the seam open. I've trimmed the surplus from the zip I'm going to secure these ends. I'll turn the garment around to do the other side. As this is the top stitched version, I have clipped just below the zip and pressed both seam allowances towards the back. For the non-top stitched version, I would leave the seam pressed open. Top stitching this seam is a little tricky. With the dress right side out, you need to get right inside to start your stitching at the underarm. I have the zip opened a little way down. When I reach it with the needle down, I slide the zip pull back up and then continue to the end. I'm past the zip now, so it gets a bit easier. Good so far. The second run is a lot easier. So again, I have the zip open part of the way, and I slide the zip pull out of the way when I come to it. Almost invisible. We add the sleeves and finish the dress in the next and final episode. Please subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. All my tutorials and sew-alongs are free. Hit the notification button and you won't miss any of them. If you subscribe to this channel and check the like button, you will be supporting all my free content. Thank you for watching.